Hello, welcome to Porch and Knits. I am Rachel and I am the face behind Porch and Knits. I have a couple of tutorials knitting in the Portuguese knitting style, along with some longer form content just about trying to find the joy in knitting. Today I am wearing my Tin Can Knits Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek DK sweater. I talked about that in another video. Today I just wanted to talk a little bit about a way to play with color that I was excited about and thought that you might have fun with too. So Premier Yarns had a bag sale where they had 5 bags or 5 balls of a single color for $5 of the Himalaya Yarns Lana Luxe 400. It's 50% acrylic, 50% wool yarn. So for $5 you could get probably a sweater's quantity of yarn. It comes down to $1 per ball, and I thought this would be a fun way to just buy some colors to play with. I could just kind of make a whole bunch of different colorwork accessories, some full sweaters, some just play with it, and that's what I've been doing. Again, because it was like a sale, they didn't have a full color palette, so I just kind of picked some ones. I wanted to pick some that I felt like could go together, some that would work for kind of boyish colors because I have a son and a husband that I'm thinking of knitting for. I also wanted some more girly colors for me and my daughters and things that I thought would mix and match. I think blue and green look beautiful on girls too, so it's not necessarily all boys colors and girls colors, but that's kind of what my thinking was behind the colors that I picked. I would have loved if they had like a black and a white or cream color, but they didn't. Or I think I would have liked, I don't know. I guess I just want to play with colors, and I would be happy to have 50 colors to play with, but I ended up with 10 colors. So here we go. I have this basket, and I actually like holding it just in this basket. This is a regular, I think I got this from Aldi, and it came in a set of 3 different size baskets. These just fit perfectly. And then if I center pull, I can just leave them in here and play with them to make different colored things. So that's what I've been doing so far. So we've got several blues, we've got a green, we've got this kind of lavender color, several pinks, a gray, and then a red. And one thing that I feel like we're always worried about when we want to play with color, especially when we're taking the time to do some kind of color work project, is will my picture, will the design that I create actually be visible, or will it be such a high contrast that I don't like it? Do these colors go together? I feel like that's something that can sometimes slow us down when we want to create or play with colors a little bit more. So one thing that I did, and I think it's cool, I made it up. I'm sure there's probably been other people who've done something similar, but I basically wove a sample card. I figured with weaving it, you get to see kind of one by one, which is more like a piece of color work. Is that something that would be high enough contrast that the design would be visible? And so I did basically a 10 by 10 grid and did one of each color in the top and then the side, and then wove each one across so that I got this grid. And then you can see pretty quickly, like, hey, when the dark with dark, obviously, that's not a very high contrast. That's not going to work very well. But then you have things like here, you can see like you've got the red and the green. That's a nice contrast, even though maybe with a black and white, this would still be a similar saturation, but I think red and green, they're just such a good classic contrast color because they're complementary. They make each other pop. But then you also can see kind of how does it blue, like you can see how the brighter blue and the red just pop a little bit more than this darker blue. You can see how the red contrasts with the gray. So you can kind of just look at each color combination relatively quickly and say, hey, this would be maybe lower contrast, but it might still work with an image because it still kind of looks different enough that you would probably still see it. So you can see kind of like this might be more of a tonal contrast. You've got your kind of more complementary contrast, and then you've got your value contrast. And you can see how you can kind of follow along. You can watch how the different colors play with each other without it being, I was able to just sit down and do this. Maybe it took me an hour one afternoon, but I sat down and did this when I got all of the yarn as a way to just kind of play with it and see, hey, what kinds of color combinations can I do with this? And then I have this to keep with me when I can think about, hey, what would be cool? So there's things like, I think this kind of lavender with the kind of, I almost want to say duller blue. It's still a pretty good contrast, but they also seem almost tonal. I think I saw a Hey Sailor with a similar color palette, and I'm tempted to try this. I think this yarn might be too thick for that though. Or you can see how like the different blues play with each other. How like these brighter blues just kind of seem to pop a little bit more than with the darker, the kind of more dull blue. Or sometimes I don't know, seeing this kind of cooler lavender with the red versus the blue, you can start just seeing how the colors play with each other and which ones you might be more happy with. You can even see, hey, if I want to have a main color with multiple contrast colors, which color would work for that? So I could do, like, I think all of the pinks and reds work really well with the green. I also think this white blue works. We don't want to get here into the dark stuff and then the gray works again. Or we could say, hey, if I want to be main of blue, I think most of these colors would work pretty well with it until we get to the dark stuff again. Or if we wanted to have a light main color and then contrast it so it works well with the red. These ones, they start getting a little bit more iffy, and then it might work with this lavender color, but they're just very similar. But then you just pop once you get to here. And so you can kind of just start saying, hey, these are how my colors that I have are playing together. And it's a really easy, just kind of weave. Let's see, I did 4 strands of each color and then wove them across each other. I feel like it gives you all of the possible combinations between your set of colors without having to do tons of twisting. I think that gives you a pretty good guess of what they would look like as individual stitches if you were changing every other stitch in your pattern. And so it just gives you an easy visual. And then I have this card and I can just keep it next to my yarn, and when I want inspiration, I can just look at it and say, oh, what kinds of things could I do with these colors that I have? And it's just been so fun, and I don't know, maybe that's an idea that you could try too with some of the yarns that you have. All right, so that's just my shorter tip, I guess, for how I've been playing with colors a little bit over here. And I hope that you have some happy knitting.